What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Trust Boy V back with another video. I hope you're having a blessed day today. Today we're gonna look at some history of Noggin. Y'all that know growing up, those from 90s babies to early 2000s, we know Noggin was that channel. Back in the day, had number of hits, and this is just nostalgia, man. This the history, the rise and the fall, cause man, Noggin bringing back so many good shows, so many good memories. Backyardigans, Franklin, Lil Bear. Um, what is that show? Ubi right here. They showing the Max and Ruby. Man, so many great hits. But y'all kick back, relax. And I skipped it because the man, I ain't feel like started all the way over. 'Cause I recorded this, but got messed up. The recorder got messed up, so I'm gonna speak a little bit just to catch everybody up. So they did a study. The Sesame Workshop company that Jim Henson, Kermit and them, they did research and study that a lot of children was watching more TV, and this is 1967, and that children was failing public schools, urban areas and stuff. So they did a lot of research and a lot of studying on using education, fun, and how and are able to how they can use it to not just make it fun, but educate the children at the same time, so they can learn, so they can actually do good in school. And it's funny because they other companies like fast food, the soda company, the junk food company, they did all the research to make children consumers of theirs and how to get them addicted to the foods and stuff. But these group of people, being great citizens, man, they decided to use their research to better the children so they can actually have an education, so they can actually learn and not be left behind. So they used their research for good, and Jim Henson, being an entertainer that he is and stuff like that, he was down with it. But it didn't really jump off until like maybe in the 90s, 80s or 90s. But Noggin being created in 99. Yeah, 99. So the electric company, Bill Nye, being some of the original shows on Noggin. And now talking about the next phase of Noggin started with started with this show. So I just want to say that part so I can catch y'all up. And I'm gonna have this video, the original video, in the description if you want to go back and look yourself. So just wanted to catch y'all up a little bit. But let's get into the video. I hope you have a blessed one. Hit that like, that share, and in the comment section, tell me your favorite Noggin show growing up. All right, let's get into it.
Started out as a short film called A Show of Hands in the 90s. The cast of the show were Sesame Street alumni Muppeteers Tim Lagasse, Tyler Bunch, Noel McNeil, and Stephanie D'Abruzzo. The show was inspired by Josh Seelig, as he was a part of Sesame Street skits involving hand puppets. Josh would recruit the Muppeteers as they would convey emotion through hand signals. By 1999, Noggin would be pitching new ideas, and Ubi would be their third pitch on the original shows that they were producing. By 1999, Josh Josh and crew would be in production of Ubi, as Josh would make his production company Little Airplane Productions. The show was first called Peepo, but was rolled back after the name was taken by an Italian jean brand. As kids were gravitating to the shorts of Ubi, Noggin would make it a full-fledged show in the early 2000s. The show was recorded at Kaufman Astoria Studios in Astoria, Queens, New York. Sets for Ubi were done at hand level with wooden pole sets. Monitors were at the bottom of the actor's level, while audio was recorded with free-range headsets. Every actor had to get manicures and shave their arms every week to keep up the youthful appearance of characters. Tyler Bunch, Grandpoo's puppeteer, was the only actor exempt from shaving as to give Grandpoo an older look. Many more Sesame Street alumni, Kevin Clash, Martin Robertson, and Cheryl Baylock, would make guest appearances in Ubi and would make their limbs, like feet, play in the show. The longest episode was a 10-minute episode, Theater, which had its own musical numbers written by Larry Hochman. The iconic looks of the puppets were minimal, as the crew was given glass eyes and small clothing for certain characters, while the characters were talking simple sentences using 2-3 words at a time. The show was lauded for helping kids develop social skills, early literacy, and logical thinking. Fun fact.
I always thought it was an odd show. I never paid that much attention because I was young, but I never really thought about the reason that show was made. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Never seen this type of show before, but it makes sense now.
The theme song was composed by Jared Faber and sung by John Montaga. By 1999, Noggin would get more preschool shows, as Nick Jr. was making room for new shows such as Kipper, Maisie, and Franklin during February of '99, Dora the Explorer by August, and then Little Bill in November.
Little Bill hits.
It was a different time. Gullah Gullah Island, Allegra's Window, and reruns of Blue's Clues would go over to Noggin, as Gullah Gullah Island was on its last season, and Jumbo Pictures would move over to Disney. Albeit Jim's prior work done by Nickelodeon was still owned by Viacom, therefore rights to Allegra's Window were still owned by Nick. Noggin would expand its shorts with Citizen Phoebe, Me in a Box, while Ubi was moving into being its own show in the early 2000s. Fast forward to 2001, the channel would have a 40% uptick in original content. Spunk, Big Kids, and On the Team would be additional Noggin originals, while the URL with Fred was an interactive show where kids would choose the topic Fred would do. By April 1st of 2002, Feet Face, voiced by Jessica DeKiko, was introduced as the new mascot for Noggin, while the channel block was moving from a preteen demographic to a preschool demographic. While the transition happened, Noggin would create a new Noggin original show with the Sesame Street alumni and Muppets called Play With Me Sesame. Noggin had a different approach to how it catered to the preteen demographic. The original goal of the channel was to dispel that educational shows didn't cater to just preschool-age kids and could be entertaining to preteens and tweens. However, the channel block was seeing low viewerships on late-night slots dedicated to the preteen demographic. The New York Times would criticize this, quote, several folded efforts at nocturnal programming. At the same time Feet Face was introduced, Noggin would not only move its demographic and programming, it would change time slots from 24/7 to 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. This would expand the block for teen programming, which was distinguished under the N to help distance itself from the preschool programming on the block. Research was done in various social experiments with teens. Many researchers would come back with the fact that teen shows did not help relate or educate what actual teenagers were going through on a social level. While in the mid-2000s, various social issues such as body dysmorphia, teen self-cancellation, drug use, date self-identity, and sexual orientation were at the forefront of teen issues at the time. With the help of researchers Maggie Groening and Russell Miller, the N was established. This was a revolutionary time for teens and parents, as the N would encourage teens and adults to watch shows together and have actual discussions regarding what they watched. Nickelodeon Nation would hail Noggin and the N as a unified channel, unlike its main sister channel. The N original show Out There was the first of its kind, second to its successor Degrassi: The Next Generation.
I gotta say this, bro. I remember Degrassi like it was, man. I remember Drake on there, and that show was crazy. Like it was like one of them shows that's like a adult version of what would be a good comparison? Like like Zoe. It's like a adult version of Zoe 101. Teenagers going through life, more dramatic and more what is it called? Inappropriate stuff, I'll say, or adult stuff. Degrassi was a good show though. I ain't gonna lie. I watched it. It was a good show.
As well as miniseries such as LOL with the N, Real Access in the N, Girls vs. Boys, Best Friends Date, and Miracle Boys. The last N original show to ever make an impact on the block was South of Nowhere, made by Tom Lynch, responsible for Romeo and Class of 3000. This show, to many critics, was real, raw, and ahead of its time when it came to actual issues regarding teens that Degrassi would have trouble putting into an episode. By April 2nd, 2003, Feet-Face would be replaced by Moose Moose, voiced by Paul Christie. You guys may know him as Stick Stickly. And Z, as Feet-Face only lasted 1 year as Noggin's mascot. Moose Moose, much like Feet-Face, would be very interactive with Noggin, however garnered more songs in the repertoire, such as Are We There Yet, Fantastic Day, the new Noggin sign-on song, Beside the Seaside, Everywhere I Go, as well as seasonal songs like Candy Cane, Falling for Fall, and my personal detested song, I Don't Like Candy Corn.
Don't like candy corn. No, I don't like candy corn. Oh, bro, this guy stinks!
There would be a downside to all of this. Noggin would be losing Ubi in the later years, as Nick Jr. would commission Little Airplane Productions to work on their next show, Wonder Pets, only leaving 2 Noggin originals, Jack's Big Music Show, and the last Noggin original, The Upside Down Show. Sesame Workshop, while continuing to co-produce Noggin and the N shows, would eventually sell Noggin stock back in 2002 due to debt repayment. Viacom would still, however, have Sesame Workshop in a multi-year contract. Considering that the company already had Sesame Workshop in original shows and airing Sesame Street on its own block, they didn't need PBS anymore. By 2005, Sesame Workshop would go right back to PBS as Comcast and a few investors would found PBS Kids Sprout. This is where Noggin would run into even bigger problems. Now we get into the bigger part of the story, the shutdown. Hold on to your hats. By the mid-2000s, Noggin in the N would lose momentum as more shows from Nick Jr. and T-Nick would bleed into the channels as reruns, thus making both blocks rerun knockoffs. Since the only show teens would watch on the N would be Degrassi, there was no room for the N to grow anymore. It became the Degrassi channel. Literally. And while that was happening, Viacom by August 13th of 2007 would shut down Nick Gas and make the N 24 hours instead of half a time slot on Noggin. This lasted 2 years as it was Viacom's biggest mistake it ever made, along with another bucket list of things that it did. By 2009, T-Nick would merge with the N as a block called T-Nick on the N. While Noggin would keep airing reruns, it would lose Noggin.com and the N.com would follow with it as Nickelodeon was phasing out both blocks. As this phase out began, the inevitable happened. Noggin would rebrand as Nick Jr.
Redundant? Much redundant?
As we all grew up, let's face it, we kinda did. The viewership would drastically go down. By 2015, Noggin would come back as a streaming service with new original shows such as School of Yum, Kinderwood, and Yoga Friends. All this happens, the N would drown out and rebrand as T-Nick and get additional 90s reruns called The Splat, which would air old episodes of Hey Arnold, Rugrats, Doug, and Rocko's Modern Life. Noggin, as an app, would also reach different countries throughout its time. That all stopped on February 15, 2024, as Noggin would shut down altogether. The app would cease billing by May 30th. The staff were all laid off as a result, while Noggin shows were brought over to Paramount Plus as Nick Jr. shows. Noggin as a whole is a byproduct of Nickelodeon's greed and overall laziness over the years. But not just Nick. Sesame Workshop was not seeing the actual impact that it had over an audience of kids and teens that it catered to. Both parties share the blame in this due to the the fact that it went against every philosophy both companies stood for. Nickelodeon stood for making characters and story and letting the audience grow with the characters, while Sesame Workshop, through the television medium, educated and changed social factors within its shows. Down the line, it would always be about corporate interests and biting off more than it can chew, while not only this, treating Noggin and the N as rerun throwaways rather than expand the ideas. Granted, many people would say it's a financial issue, albeit I advise people to look at both parties and see who Nick and Sesame Workshop were in bed with at the time, and then come back to me. In the future, it would be inevitable on many factors for this block to stay alive in the long haul. As more streaming services are gathering who gets the rights to which shows, as well as cutting out the middleman in general, that being cable, Noggin was bound to see this fade sooner rather than later. On top of that, many Noggin shows were getting short air times on cable television. Granted, we have a few cult classics from the block, but do we seriously want to see another SpongeBob situation happen? I think not. In short, many of us should be thankful that it shut down. Considering the way Nick is going, would you really want it to stick around?
So it can, continue to cast for and stuff like that. Noggin was destined to fail because it's just too many factors of making too much money, but the quality getting not worse, but the quality become a lack over the years. And then the end, like he said, it started to be Degrassi land, because Degrassi was just a hit. Like, it was no other show they put on there that could compare to Degrassi, because when one show become real big, everything else is comparison is like over with. So it's all in them things of like, dang, can't compete with it. But I just say that Noggin did a great job for what it was supposed to do. And Nick Jr. just continued to have hits after hits after hits after hits. So I just wanted to put that little 2 cents in. But y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all thought of the video. What was your favorite Noggin show? What was your favorite Nick Jr. show? Because they did turn to PBS Sprouts. And, I mean, it didn't do bad because Sprouts had a good, I think, like 3 to 4 year run, I think, on his own thing. But then cable started to phase out and streaming services start to come in, so it kind of put a damper on it. But Noggin had a great run. I mean, they did a lot of great things, and I say, shoot, it helped me in my childhood with a lot of great hits they had. So it's like, man, just overstay is welcome, and they got him out of there. But it was a great video, man. My boy always do a great job. I'm gonna wait for him to put out. I ain't gonna say what video he working on, but I'm excited. Y'all know the company, but I ain't gonna say where or who. But y'all let me know in the comment section. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, that hype button. All about God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit loving us. I'm loving y'all. Y'all loving me. Y'all have a blessed one. Y'all take care. And hit the other videos. Check my other videos that I posted this week. It's something for everybody. So y'all have a blessed one. Have a safe weekend. And we out, man.